There we go. That's fish. That's a good one. Hey guys, let's take a minute and talk about crankbaits, specifically squarebills. I don't do a lot of real deep diving for bass, so mine's mainly the squarebills and the shallows. So we're going to cover stuff that's like under 10 foot. We're going to get into, like, say your 1.5 squarebill. This is going to run about a 2 or 3 foot deep. You can run a 2.5, a little bigger. Going to run about 4 or 5 foot deep. I've got one here they call an S crank. That's the body style. This is again going to run about 4 or 5. And then if I want just to get a little bit deeper, this flat-sided one got a little more of a rounded bill on it. This is off the Spro's Little John body style, and this will probably run 7 or 8 feet deep. Now in all cases here, I'm discussing using fluorocarbon for line and not braid. I use braid and jig, soft plastic, frogs and stuff. But when I'm doing your squarebills, I want them to get down as far as I can get them. Fluorocarbon sinks, so fluorocarbon will let them get the maximum depth they should get. I try to stay, I'm usually around 12 pounds. You can probably go down to 10 pounds. It varies for you. All right. So where are we going to fish the squarebill? Now, a lot of times, I've watched other guys' video stuff too, and they're right. This thing needs to be bouncing off of something. Whether it's bouncing off rocks on a rocky bank over here, whether it's boat docks, like back behind, bouncing off the side of a boat dock, or the pillars, tree branches, your stumps, even vegetation, and here it's lily pads. You can pull it through on the lily pads. I hear some guys say, hey, if it's not bouncing and hitting off something, it's not going to catch any fish. Well, I understand their premise on that, but I'll disagree just a little bit. I think you can still catch fish when you're not bouncing off of things. The key is, if you don't have structure to bounce your squarebill off of, then make it. And you make it with your rod tip. Don't just reel it straight in. Move it to the left, move that rod tip to the right, up, down, jerk it a little, change the speed. Anything that you do with your rod tip is the same thing that happens if that squarebill is bouncing off rocks or stumps or something off a boat dock. So if it's not there for you, then create it yourself. Create that change of speed, create that change of direction with a rod tip. You still get hits with a squarebill even if you aren't bouncing it off the structure, because basically you'll just make the structure yourself. All right, let's discuss round bill or square bill. Yeah, some square bills have a round bill. Technically you'll have some 1.5s, lures like that will probably have a 2 or 3 foot diving depth, but they'll have a rounded bill instead of a square bill. So, which is better, round bill or square bill? Well, technically, I prefer a square bill when possible. Now, sometimes that just doesn't work because the lure only comes one way. Let's take this one right here. This is that Spro's Little John body style, the flat-sided one, and it only comes with a round bill, so you don't have a choice. But given a choice between square and round, I'll take square. And the reason is when you start getting into rocks, stumps and trees and that type of stuff, when a square bill hits a tree branch, that flat bill tends to kick it straight up in the air. And by kicking it straight up in the air, it kicks the hooks away. You don't get hooked up as often. But when you've got a round bill, when it hits that, it tends to roll. And when it rolls on its side, then the hook's going to catch the branch. So, given a choice between the two, I'll always take the flat square bill over the rounded one whenever possible, because I just feel it's going to keep you out of a few snags. That's always a good thing, right? All right, let's talk about hooks. A lot of guys, you'll see in other videos telling you, oh, you got to take the standard hooks off and you got to put better hooks on. And I always kind of, but I never got real serious about crankbaits until just the last year or two. And this year I really got more in depth because I was painting my own. So then I got into it more. But I tend to agree on the changing of the hooks. And here's why. I know sharper hooks helps, that makes a difference. This lure still has standard everyday hooks that would just basically be a round bend hook. That's just a standard round bend treble hook. So what I've been doing is I've taken those off, and instead I'm going with wide gap hooks. This would be similar to your plastic worm, and lately I've been doing jigs in the wide gap, and I'm hanging on to them a whole lot better than I used to. So what I'm doing now, everything is putting a wide gap hook. You know, you're going to miss a few every once in a while when they swipe at it, you don't quite grab them. But so far, and I've been only doing this for about 2 weeks now solid, when I hook one, it's not going anyplace. When I've had one on, I'm not losing them at the rate I used to lose them when I was using a standard round bend hook. So for me, I'm switching over. I'm switching everything over. I believe these are Mustad triple grips, I think they're called, for the wide gap. They're also a short shank. Now, what advantage do I have in a short shank? Well, in the past, let's say this is a 1.5, this is a number 6 hook. And if you're using a standard number 6 round bend hook, you'd put 2 number 6s on. If you tried to go anything bigger, the hooks would hook each other when you're casting. But because I'm using these wide gap short shank hooks, I now have a number 6 in the front. I've got a number 4 in the back. I'm able to put a bigger hook in. As you can see, they still can't get a hold of each other. So it's not a problem. You're allowed to put a bigger hook in that way. Same thing goes. Here's a Spro's Little John style. Again, big and little. This one, if you really work at it, you can get those to hook. But so far, and maybe 3 times out now fishing with this lure or this body style, I haven't been able to get it to hook yet. So only sitting at the counter at home working on it could I get to do that. And then when I get up to the bigger lures, like here, the 2.5, now I got a 4 in front. Now I'm moving up to a number 2 in the back. So I'm getting a bigger hook. Hopefully that means I get a little better shot at, catching a few more fish just with a little bit bigger hook. Does it pay to change hooks? Yes, it does pay to change hooks. Sharper helps, but I'll tell you what, wide gap I found has been, so far for me, a whole lot better than your standard round bend hook. That's where I'm going from now on. There we go. That's fish. That's a good one. Come here, buddy. There we go. All right. Woo. There we go. Nice fish. Get my rod out of the way here a little bit for you. Get the hook out of him. I'll tell you what, those wide gap hooks, they definitely hang on. All right, let go of it. There we go. Well, I guess, guys, that covers the squarebill. If you're not fishing them, get a few, give them a try, get out and fish them. I hate to think the years that I missed out that I wasn't fishing squarebills. And I look at all the fish I'm catching today with those, and I thought, man, what a amount of time I wasted years ago not using these. So, biggest key, get a few, give them a try, get it as close to cover as you can get them. If you can't get in there, remember, don't just reel that thing in. Left, right, up, down, fast, slow, change your cadence around. Make structure where structure doesn't exist. You'll catch some fish. Thanks for sticking with me. Subscribe to our channel if you would. Hope to see you again real soon.